Hi, my name is Stavinsky Belazaire. This is my week 6 assignment. This is FTT122, and the date is February 25th, 2024. So, first part is trajectory and sight. So, sight alignment is when you're aiming at the target, and your optic or your front sight and rear sight are aligned with your target. Trajectory is the path that projectile takes in order to hit the target. What typically happens is the sight is straight form, while the path the projectile takes has an arch once fired, but still meets the same intended target. Now we're going to talk about the gyroscopic drift, which is typically known as the spin drift. When that projectile leaves the barrel has a right twist. So what happens is, as it travels down that path, the projectile is spinning. And from short range, it's hard to notice, but from a longer range, it will start to drift. To the right. And it will be more noticeable at the longer range it is. Now we're going to talk about drag. Drag is the force that is resisting the projectile. So the projectile, once again, exits the barrel. What's happening? You have this force acting upon it and slowing it down the longer it goes. It's basically the force that is resisting the projectile from going any more forward. And that's what drag is. Like the wind. So the wind is pushing on that projectile and preventing it from traveling even more forward. Next is the Magnus effect. Take this apple. The Magnus effect, the best way to explain it is in baseball. When you throw a straight ball, it goes straight. But when you throw a curve ball, you notice that whatever direction it's curved in, it'll gradually start spinning on itself, but then it'll go one direction back towards the other direction because it's almost like a rotation. That's how I explain the Magnus effect. The Coriolis and I'm sorry if I'm saying this wrong, Eötvös effect. So the Coriolis effect is the force that's acting when you're shooting from north to south. And the Eötvös effect is when you're shooting from east to west. The effects of the forces of the projectile when you're shooting from north to south is simply explained by, you'll notice if your target was standing right in front of you and you're shooting north, what typically is going to happen is let's say it's like this is long range shooting I'm referencing to, and let's say you shoot your projectile towards the northern hemisphere, right? What's going to happen, the longer it is, you're going to notice you start hitting it right. And it's the same effect when you're shooting a target that's south, below the equator. You're going to notice that your intended impact point is drifting to the left. The opposite effect, the northern hemisphere. So what's happening is the Earth's rotation is affecting your shot. And from the equator, if you're shooting north, it's gonna tendently make this path towards the right. And if you're shooting south, it's your impact point is gonna be towards the left. Now, that is called the Coriolis effect. And for the Eötvös effect, it's when you're shooting against and with the Earth's rotation. When you're shooting against the Earth's rotation, it's gonna hit low, and that is west. It's gonna hit low because Now you're going against it, so greater forces are acting on that projectile. So it's going to hit low typically. When you're shooting east, it's going to hit high because you're going with the Earth's rotation. So you're building up a little bit more forces right behind that projectile. Next, we'll talk about is vertical angles. Vertical angles is in projectiles is what I considered somewhat close to the Pythagorean theorem, but remember one of them is dealing with wind, while the other is dealing with gravity. So the straight line, if you're at the bottom of the building, the straight line for that point of impact is going to deal with gravity. While if your target was on top of the building, that's going to be that's going to typically deal with wind. Next thing I will cover is the last thing I will cover is the transonic ballistic performance. Transonic ballistic performance is when a projectile is transferring from supersonic to subsonic. That stage where this projectile is trying to restabilize itself as it goes from supersonic to subsonic. What's happening is it's going to reacquire its rotation, and as it comes from the speed of sound to try and level itself out, it's going to have a little wobble, and that can account for the weight, the type of round, and all these other factors that helps the performance, and that is called the transonic ballistic performance. Thank you.